Oshkosh Media is government programming on GovTV, community programming on Life TV, and community radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9.
Welcome to Helping Hands with your hosts, John Neiman and Judy Ritchie.
Hello and welcome to Helping Hands. This is our opportunity for us to give you an idea of where you could lend a helping hand to a program, agency, or a neighbor in need. I'm Judy Ritchie, Community Advocate.
And I'm Judy Britton. I'm substituting for John today.
Yes. Unfortunately, John has had a minor health, well, not so minor, health issue and is not available. And so Judy has graciously accepted to share the program with me today. We'd like to thank Aurora Healthcare, Harnix Flowers and Gifts, and Friends of Oshkosh Media for their sponsorship of this program. And where you are able to see us is on Oshkosh Media, Spectrum. You can hear us on 101.9 FM, Oshkosh Media Radio. And with that, we'd like to start our program today with a guest in a program that is very important to the community year-round. We're going to backtrack a little bit to back in February. We had a snowstorm, and with that there was an incident.
A very major incident.
And with that was the huge accident on Highway 41. Part of what was needed with that was blood donations for the injured. We were able to find that our county, our city, our overall community is well prepared to deal with such emergencies. One of the programs that is greatly involved is a community blood center. And our guest today is Tom McGreevy, who is the manager of donor recruitment. Welcome.
Yes, thank you.
And tell us a little bit about the blood center and their role in some of these emergencies.
Yes. So the Community Blood Center was founded in 1955, so we've been around just over 60 years. Our humble beginnings were in Appleton at that time, and we serviced a couple of hospitals within the Fox cities. Today that's grown to 21 hospitals throughout Wisconsin and various parts of the state. And what is our role? So you mentioned the accident that happened back in February. And I guess first from a community blood center standpoint, our thoughts and our support to the victims and their families of that tragic accident. You have our support on that. But at a high level, you look at that accident, you think emergency response. And what's very visible in a situation like that are the EMTs and the firefighters and the police that need to respond and be there that day. But emergency response goes much broader and deeper than that. And we play a major role in that as well. And so when the hospitals that day got wind of what was going on, we were one of their first phone calls because they needed to be prepared for a mass casualty event. And ultimately, we shipped a lot of blood, we shipped a lot of platelets to them, and which caused our inventories to be very low. And when that happens, we call out and we try to collect more blood and platelets as fast as we can. I think the key thing to remember on an event like that is that it's the blood on the shelf already that is saving lives. And within a couple of days of that, we had tremendous support. We had a lot of people call in. We had a lot of people that came into one of our donor centers and had never donated blood before. And that was fantastic. That was an excellent response. But really, it was the people that donated the day before that event and beyond that saved the lives of those people that day.
Absolutely. But when we talk that, and we're looking at in terms of the accident, but this has not been a good year. Over winter and with the number of storms we've had and everything, I believe you said that as of the end of February, you had 14 blood drives that were canceled.
Yes.
And that's a lot.
That's a lot. And we have people in our blood center that have been doing this a long time, and this is the worst winter they've ever seen. So we've had to cancel 14 blood drives between January and February due to the bad storms that have come through. And what does that do to the blood supply overall? Really, that cut our supply in half by missing those drives. And the unfortunate thing is that's not easy to turn around and replenish quickly. It's going to take a couple of months to really get blood supply up to an adequate level where we are always prepared for an emergency of such magnitude as we saw recently.
Right. And as you were talking earlier about what was made available during that emergency, do you want to explain each of the levels of blood donation or the parts of the blood that are used?
Yes. So when it comes down to it, we collect three products. We collect whole blood, we collect plasma, and we collect platelets. And whole blood is used for trauma, emergency, and surgery usages. Platelets is the clotting factor in your blood. So there's a lot of cancer patients and trauma victims that need platelets as well. And plasma itself is used more for burn victims and trauma events.
Okay. And you're always collecting each of those items as frequently as you're able.
We are open every day of the year. We are
Right.
collecting 365 days of the year. And so we collect blood two ways. We go out and get it through our mobile network, and we have 4 donor centers in the state where people can come to us and collect. The 4 donor centers are in Appleton, right here in Oshkosh, actually we have one, in Little Chute, and then one up in the North Woods up in Arbor Vitae.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and if you look up on screen, that's your new...
That's our new bus.
I was going to say that's your new toy.
It's our new mobile, and so
Yes.
this is a giant bus. This is our biggest of our fleet, and we kicked this off in March by having it go out to our hospitals, our companies, our civic organizations that we work with, so they can have their mobile drives.
And with that, you've got a lot of businesses that partner with you.
We do. So again, we collect blood 2 ways. They come to our donor centers, and then we go out and get it. And about 60% of what we collect over the course of a year comes in through our mobiles. We've found that the easier you make it for someone to donate, so they don't have to leave work, the more apt they are to donate with us. So we have a vast network of companies, churches, again, civic organizations that we work with that do a great job of organizing drives at their facilities and help us maintain the supply that we need.
So as we talk about donors, what are the donor requirements?
So the donor requirements, you have to be 16 with the parent's permission. So we have written accountability with that if a parent gives you the okay, you're 16, you can donate, or 17 without a parent's permission. And there are different weight factors. You have to weigh at least 110 pounds to be able to donate as well.
Okay. And how frequently can you donate?
So among the different products, but really it comes down to whole blood and platelets is what we collect the most of. So whole blood, you can donate every 8 weeks. So every couple of months, give or take. And then platelets is a little bit of a shorter time frame. Platelets you can donate every 7 days.
So that's pretty frequent.
Yeah, that's very frequent. Is there a maximum age where they can?
Where they can donate?
Right.
No, there's actually not a maximum age.
Okay.
And one thing we would love to see is our donor base get younger, because most of our donors are 50 and older. And as you get into those older ages, you're traveling a little bit more, so you might go to a place that'll defer you from being able to donate. You're on more medications. There's more illnesses that happen as you get older. But anyone that is healthy and there's no age limit.
No age limit. Okay.
So actually, the school site drives are generating the next generation of donors for you.
Exactly. Our school drives are our biggest mobile drives that we do. So we work with all of the schools in the area of our donor centers, and students are pretty motivated to donate. First of all, schools do a good job of getting food there, and students are really motivated by food. So the more food you can have there, students get excited about that. But today's generation also gets very excited about helping the community. And this is a very simple and easy way to be able to contribute to that.
Okay. One of the things about transfusions, how often are they needed? Some people say, well, probably once or twice a day, that the hospital might need it. Overall, across the country or across the world, how frequently?
Oh, they're needed constantly. Again, the local need would fluctuate on a daily basis.
Right.
So you have a traumatic event like what we had back in February with that accident. Even though there wasn't a lot of transfusions that actually had to happen at that particular one, that could have very, very easily gone the other way. And so again, our role in all of this is making sure that when that need is there, that we can adequately supply the blood.
Right. And it's not just trauma as in accidents. It's in childbirth, in surgery, in all these other incidents too, correct?
Exactly. It's not just the car accidents. It's just not the shooting victims and stuff like that where they need blood. It's everyday surgeries that are happening.
Okay.
Get your knee replaced. You're going to... Yes.
Okay, Judy?
Okay. I am learning an awful lot, I must say, with this. Now, you have an office here in Oshkosh?
Yes, we have 4 donor centers, and one is right here in Oshkosh.
Okay. And so people can come to that center and donate blood?
Yes.
Right
yes. Yeah, we're open every day of the week, and so the way you schedule an appointment to find out our times is simply go to our website, communityblood.org, and you can schedule a time right there.
Okay. And when is your next? Do you have some drives coming up? Or?
We have drives going on all the time. Here in Oshkosh, we have several community drives coming up. We're at UW Oshkosh frequently. We do blood drives at both the hospitals here locally, and a number of places. And the best way to find that is to go to our website.
Okay. So as we're winding down to the last several minutes, what is the exact process that a donor would go through to get started?
So the process is, again, first of all, to schedule an appointment. And from there, once you show up, the way it works is that you're going to go through a registration process. So we ask a number of questions every time you donate about your health history, anything you might be experiencing, how you feeling today, that sort of thing. And so once you're through the registration process, we're going to test your hemoglobin to make sure you're healthy and well enough to donate that particular day. And then from there, you go to a donor bed, and one of our phlebotomists will help you through your donation. And then after that is the best part, when you get the cookies and juice at the end. We tell people to budget an hour if you're going to donate. The actual process itself is a little bit shorter than that, but it's a good idea to budget an hour to make sure that everything is covered.
So that's why going to the businesses, they can take their lunch break to donate and get dessert when they're done.
Yeah, they can, and a lot of our businesses will go even beyond the cookies. They help out. They might have some soup there that day. They might have some sandwiches. They might give a prize away to help incentivize people
Right.
to donate.
Okay, so we're down to a little over 2 minutes. What thoughts do you want to leave us with?
Well, I think the main thought I want to leave with is that it's the blood that is on the shelf that saves lives. And we're so grateful for the outpouring of support when even when a national tragedy happens, like, for example, the nightclub shooting that happened down in Florida or the shootings in Vegas. We had people pouring into our donor centers at that time. And that is fantastic. We accept that. But really, the best thing you can do is go out and sign up today. Go out and frequently donate when the tragedies are not happening. Because ultimately, that could be you, that could be a family member that is the next victim. And being prepared and making sure that we've replenished the blood supply is your best bet for having a successful outcome.
And what phone numbers should people use?
1-800-280-4102. That's right there on the screen.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Anything you want to go with?
I think that's good.
Okay, well, we certainly appreciate having you come in, and we know, Aurora really promotes their blood drives and have been, as we talked earlier, much success in building it, and a lot of that comes back to how your folks respond to them. So again, thank you, and thank you to everyone from your organization and how well you treat our community. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be taking a break, and we'll be right back.
It's not a charity, it's more than a charity. It's about helping people we live with. It's about being the type of person that the 6-year-old version of ourselves wanted us to be. It's about community and looking out for one another. It's about money, yes, but it's so much more than money. It's about friendship and common values. It's about opening doors when others are slammed shut. It's about giving kids a place to be kids and growing up knowing they live in a community that cares about them. It's about making sure that everyone gets to see the dentist, because we want to make sure that they have every last tooth in those smiles. Ultimately, that's it. It's about the smiles, old smiles and new smiles. It's about us, all of us, our community living united, because great things happen when we live united. Will you join us?
Hello, and welcome back to our April Helping Hands program. And we just had a wonderful education on the Blood Center and the value of blood to our community, both ongoing as well as in critical needs. So, Judy, what did you learn?
I learned an awful lot. I didn't realize the area that they serviced, and they not just the city of Oshkosh, but the surrounding area. And I thought it was a wonderful program to have them come and explain it, and that you can give blood, and the various centers that they have for you to do that.
Right, and it's important to remember that just because this was in the winter, from winter and everything,
Correct.
The need goes on all year long.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
Over winter we had a lot of blood drives that were canceled because of the weather. In the summer, donors are off on vacation and they're not around as frequently. So A lot of different things that we have to take into account. So April, National Volunteer Week, the week of April 7th. And tell us a little bit about what Volunteer Week is about.
Well, I think Volunteer Week, I think we like to thank our volunteers for all of the time that they put in during the year. It's just a great opportunity for us to say thank you for the time that you do put in for wherever you are volunteering. And there's so many places to volunteer. I mean, you can just call your neighbor, and if it's an elderly neighbor, to make sure that everything is okay and that they're, that they're up and about that day. And especially, not just in the winter, but in the summer also.
Absolutely.
I think that's really important. So there's just so many ways to volunteer, and I think it's important that we thank them for doing that.
Well, and one of the things, and you and I are both retired from our jobs, but our jobs really involved a lot of volunteers. And one of the things that we were very conscious of is thanking our volunteers very regularly. Mm-hmm. And I know that mine with Meals on Wheels never wanted a big party or anything. It ended up being that what they preferred was my meet and greet for the 1 week. I was over when they were picking up meals, and I had my little baggie of chocolates for each of them. And they just didn't want anything. They're doing it because they want to. And I know you had the big event every year.
Right.
But you showed up as we were all doing different things for you during the year.
Exactly. And again, I think that, as I mentioned, you can just call your neighbor, but I think you mentioned Meals on Wheels in your day and in my day when I was working, but I think those agencies that are so much in need of volunteers today.
Absolutely.
And that they could call. And, if you're interested in volunteering, it's important. If you have a favorite agency, may it be day by day warming or domestic abuse or Boys and Girls Club, whatever.
Humane Society, any of those.
Any of those. And just give them a call and say that you're willing to volunteer. And they'll be happy.
And people don't understand that, like you and I serve on a number of boards and commissions and committees and things in the community. How many of us volunteer with our churches? They don't consider that volunteering, but it is. It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Correct, yes.
And our country was founded on that volunteerism. And we had the all-volunteer army years ago. I remember growing up as a kid with the farm community of not everybody had all the equipment. So it was all the farmers going from one farm to the other for the haying, the thrashing, the corn picking, the whatever. And if, heaven forbid, there were barn fires and more back then than today, they were there to help put the fire out, and they were there to help rebuild.
Right.
And today, kids are involved. That's part of almost the school programming.
And I think that is wonderful also, that our schools today are allowing the students to do more and more of that volunteer work.
Well, and as Tom talked earlier, of the young people getting involved with the drives because of wanting to make a difference.
Right, and they hold the drive right at the schools.
At the school.
Right.
But I hear a little bit of, well, they're being told they have to volunteer. It's highly suggested, or it may be a component of a class, but they're allowed to choose where they want to spend their time.
Right.
And part of that is setting a good foundation for them to be able to apply for college, to be able to apply for jobs, of what skills they're learning with that. Volunteering is not just going someplace and doing something because it makes you feel good because you did. You're going there to make a difference, but you're going there to make the world a better place.
That's right. And as you mentioned, I think you learn so much when you volunteer. And as you say, it's not just volunteering. You're learning the administration part of it. You're just learning an awful lot when you're out there volunteering.
Another thing that when I talk to some of the younger people about getting involved in volunteering with a particular organization, of their choice, is You get to know what's going on behind the scenes. It's not just what you see in the community. And a prime example, I think, of that is with the warming shelter, something that I had heard recently from someone that was thinking about donating, but they had heard that the apples and the oranges that had been donated at such and such time, that the apples weren't used for the guests at the shelter. Well, they never asked why not.
Correct.
And part of that is the guests there with their oral health couldn't chew. The apples could have been cut up, other things. It could also have been explained that the reason that the meals are prepared off-site is they don't have a kitchen that's up to code
Right.
for the actual preparation there.
So it has to be brought in.
It has to be brought in. So it's important to get involved in an organization, learning what it's about, and help to dispel all those rumors.
Right.
And to really promote the good.
And instead of doing the rumors, maybe call that agency to find out exactly why didn't they use those apples. As you mentioned, I think sometimes that would be a good idea if people would do that, and I think people do not do that.
Right. Well, and when we were talking about the blood and the immediate need, we can look at things that are ongoing, the teacher's closet, and how involved we with Altrusa and we individually are involved. We're used to school supplies purchased in September, and you buy enough to last through a year or whatever. Well, we've also got young teachers that are spending anywhere between $500, $1,000, $1,500 a year on supplies for their classroom. It's not in our school budgets anymore. No. And they're also, not only are they helping supplies for the classrooms, but they're sometimes buying jackets for kids, hats, gloves, scarves, mittens. Right. That's why we have all these other projects in the community. It's important to ask those questions. Why is the need? And for our organizations to also promote, this is the reason that we're doing.
Right, and I think our service organizations, such as you mentioned, Altrusa, and all of the service
Rotary,
agencies,
Kiwanis,
Rotary and Kiwanis, and right down the line, I think that's why we are there, to try to help those in need, such as the teacher's closet.
Right. And, John with Aurora has got a multitude of volunteer opportunities, and some of us are not as structured there, but we're in and out of there. He calls us when he has a need for. And so we can all do something special. So we're winding down, and anything in particular you'd like to have people know, and the fact that you're not just sitting twiddling your thumbs in retirement?
Well, I guess you always stay very active when you're in retirement, and that's a good thing because you're still helping out in the community. You're just kind of a community volunteer, and wherever there's a need, and you try to help out wherever necessary.
Mm-hmm. So on that note, we send good wishes out to John in his recovery from his health situation. He will be back with us soon. Anybody would like to send him a card, please do over at Aurora. I'm Judy Ritchie. I'm a community advocate.
I'm Judy Britton, a community volunteer. And John, hurry up and get back.
And on that note, everyone, please have a safe, happy Easter, summer, and please consider volunteering. Thank you for joining us.